Do you ever wonder what is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number? The traditional beliefs, customs, and stories of a community. A community not part of the mainstream, unconventional, peripheral, or extreme. Part of an anthology, a published collection of poems or other pieces of writing. This is Esoteric Lore. I'm your host, Edward Aponte, where I push you to ponder the fringes of folklore. On November 5th, 1605, a group of Catholic conspirators were poised to launch a terrorist plot on an unprecedented scale. They planned to blow up Parliament, wiping out the king and the establishment in an attempt to trigger a popular uprising. The plot was foiled just hours before the fuse was lit. Today, the anniversary of this infamous plot is as close as England gets to an annual national event. For 400 years, it has been marked with bonfires, fireworks, and festivities. It has survived where other festivals have been lost to history, and we still remember the 5th of November. The gunpowder plot was discovered after a Catholic lord received a warning letter, which he then passed on to the Protestant king's chief minister. Half the plotters were killed in a shootout. The rest, including Guy Fawkes, were tried for treason. The captured plotters were found guilty and executed on January 1606. In the same month, Parliament passed the Thanksgiving Act, establishing an annual church celebration with sermons, prayers on the 5th of November. While the official ceremonies waned over time, the popular festivities marked by bell-ringing, bonfires, and fireworks grew in popularity. By the late 18th century, the day was increasingly used to settle local scores, or as an excuse for disorder, and the celebrations often got out of hand. The gunpowder plot and the figure of Guy Fawkes, in particular, continued to capture people's imagination through the generations. By the Victorian era, the date had become known as Guy Fawkes Day. The anarchist activities seen before was now frowned upon. Local worthies clamped down on the worst excesses, magistrates issued warnings, and the police made shows of force to discourage bad behavior. By the 1870s, decorum prevailed, according to the Times, and the communal activities became regulated. In Lewes, notorious for its riotous celebrations, 4 bonfire societies began to organize an annual gala event with spectacular fire shows and parades that continue to this day. Elsewhere in the country, local businessmen came together to organize and sponsor community bonfire parties for charities. In 1910, firework manufacturers started branding the occasion as Fireworks Night to cash in on the act. It saw their sales increase by 20% year on year. Enthusiastic kids would create a Guy Fawkes effigy, which they carried around, asking for, quote, a penny for the guy to help them buy fireworks. By the middle of the 20th century, Fireworks Night was synonymous with Guy Fawkes Day and was an established family event. As back garden displays became common, the sale of rockets and Catherine wheels was increasingly regulated. Government public safety advertisements in the 1980s warned of the dangers of playing with fireworks as safety became a pressing concern. The films showed worried pet owners how to prepare their animals for the event. Well, a campaign was launched to save hedgehogs hiding in bonfires. This was a world away from the anarchist festivities of the past. Today, the name Guy Fawkes is not only associated with November 5th in Britain, but his image has also been adopted by anti-establishment movements around the world. How did we make this leap? The masks are merchandise from the film V for Vendetta, based on the 1980s graphic novel by writer Alan Moore and artist David Lloyd. The film follows an anarchist known as V battling against a fascist state. He wears the mask both as a form of protest and to protect his identity. David Lloyd created the original mask image. Quote, the Guy Fawkes mask has now become a common brand and a convenient placard to use in protest against tyranny. And I'm happy with people using it. It seems quite unique, an icon of popular culture being used this way, he told BBC News magazine, end quote. The action thriller V for Vendetta takes place in a dystopian Britain during the 2030s. The world is no longer recognizable as diverse and tolerant. Instead, the United States has become a leper colony, and England has become a fascist, totalitarian police state similar to the society described in the novel 1984 by George Orwell. The rights of the people and their freedom no longer exist. Being different is dangerous. Strict curfew is enforced. The media is a puppet show approved by the government. And no one never knows if someone they might talk to is trustworthy. Amidst all of this brainwashing emerges a man masked in the likeness of Guy Fawkes, who finds a way to hijack the government's communication system to send a message for the entire population, encouraging the reemergence of free thinking and asking them to join him 1 year to the day on the next 5th of November to essentially overthrow the government. This vigilante is known as V. Is not afraid to achieve retribution and vengeance and uses any means necessary. So beneath his seemingly cruel and heartless acts, he does have a heart and conscience. V stands for truth, justice, and the pursuit of freedom from oppression. He is the voice of reason that calls out to the complacent people settled in a disastrous routine of the dystopian Britain, encourages them to stand up for themselves and their divinely given rights to have a voice and opinion rather than blindly following a fascist regime. From church sermons to riots, and from family fireworks displays to political rallies, the idea and symbolism of Guy Fawkes Day has evolved over 400 years, enduring because of its extraordinary ability to adapt. Over 4 centuries, the spirit of Guy Fawkes has stood for violence, victories, vendetta. But on this November 5th, 2024, a new adaptation. V stands for vote. Vote your conscience. While V may stand for voting on this November 5th, it still contains the essence, the spirit of Guy Fawkes, and that is protest and progress. Both are possible with your vote. I end with one of the most famous quotes from the movie V for Vendetta, and I quote, "People shouldn't be afraid of their government. Governments should be afraid of their people." End quote. So on this November 5th, 2024, let's make our voices known and vote. If you like this video, please subscribe, share, and give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.